Robert from Saltwater Tech. I'm going to show you today how to use the soundboard. We'll start by setting up all the connections. The soundboard is located here inside the AV rack. So first we're going to take it out. Make sure you hold it steady and set it on the desk. On the back of the soundboard, you have your power section, and most everything else is outputs. So first, plug in the power. You have your XLR cables. These two go to the speakers inside the sanctuary. Noticeable because they have a little clicker for locking it in when you plug them in. As far as left and right, just either one's fine. They plug in right here in the main outputs. Next, we've got these two XLR cables, and these two are for the speakers in the main room. And they plug in right next to the other two. There you have your four main speakers. We also have two power switches, and both need to be flipped on. One, for some reason, controls the power to the podium microphone. I'll turn those on after everything is connected. There's a USB cable. One end is a regular USB, the other end is sort of a USB that looks like it's shaped like a house. And the house end goes into the back of the soundboard. The other end goes into your PC. In our case, we usually plug it into the PC that is inside of the AV rack. Here's a green output cable, and this is to plug into the back next to the other speakers that we've plugged in. In Saltwater Church, we don't usually use this one, but if you needed to attach an extra speaker, here's this end of it, goes in right back here, right next to the others. And then over by the glass windows is the other end if you wanted to plug in another speaker. Typically, this just gets left not used. So that concludes everything that we put into the outputs. You have your sanctuary speakers, your welcome room speakers, and the output that goes into your computer. And that's it. You just flip it on. So the other end of the output that goes into the computer, the USB, goes from the soundboard to the desktop PC, plugs in to either one of these front USB ports. One more output for the soundboard is the assisted listening system. It's labeled ALS on the white label. Plug the white into the very top right space and the red into the one right below it. And that's it for the assisted listening system. For inputs, we're going to start with the labels here. We have podium, choir, and also notice that each one is labeled 1, 2, and on 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And up till 8, they're all for microphones. Here's all the microphones. Each of them is labeled. This one is 6. 6 doesn't have its own personal label. The first one, like I said, is podium. So number 1 goes to the very top, and that is for podium. Number 2 is for the choir. The choir mic, if it's in use. 3, 4, 5, and 6 are reserved for various uses. I won't plug them in, but each one is down here. 3, 4, 5, and 6. Next, 7 and 8, we have handheld and headset. They're each labeled handheld and headset. Just plug them in to 7 and 8. And that's all you need for microphones in most cases. For the next set over here, we have 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I don't know why, but they're combined numbers, even and odd. Regardless, whatever you plug up here, the volume for it is controlled right here. Whatever you plug right here, the volume for it is controlled right next to it. Typically, we will put the inputs from the computer into 11 and 12. So red goes in R, white goes in L. Now, anything that is played on the computer that you want streamed the audio into the sanctuary and welcome room, you just have to control it with this volume, whichever volume is below where you plugged it in at. On the other end of the computer input is the plug that plugs into the PC. It plugs into the front in any headphone jack. This one has a headphone jack right next to the power button. And the red power button you press to turn on the PC. Now you have audio coming out of the headphone jack of the PC into the soundboard. The soundboard is now fully connected. We have all of our outputs coming out of the back through the different speakers, including the output that goes to the computer. And then we have all the inputs coming into the soundboard, microphones, and the input of audio that's coming in from the computer. Next, I'll show you the different controls of the soundboard, now that everything's good. I'm gonna go over just the basic controls for the soundboard. There's several features, which I might make in another video, but for now, all you need to know. Each of these sliders is your volume. Make sure that the master volume is up in this box area, typically. Make sure that both of those are up so that the rest of these will let sound come through. So you just turn up, let's say if I want to turn up the handheld microphone, I just move it up to the desired level. There's a mute button above it. It's black, it's a triangle. Press that mute button and it stops everything in the channel. There's a red button over here. It's farthest to the right. That red button needs to remain up. There's only one case in which the red button needs to be pressed down, and you shouldn't need to worry about it. Just make sure this red button is up. And that's pretty much it. Just the sound, the mutes, and this very important red button. These two controls for audio control the subs if you did hook up an extra set of speakers. This is the handheld wireless microphone. In order to turn it on, you have to untwist the handle and look for a switch right here. And you flip it and the microphone turns on. Close by twisting the handle back up. And on the bottom is a mute button. Red means that it's muted. Green means it's a live mic. The volume is up and we are speaking through the speakers. Inside the AV rack, you're going to find the projector remote next to the PC. It's white. And you're going to find the camera remote next to the PC. It's black. And the black one goes right here, and the white one goes right here. To turn on the projector, press the red power button at the screen. I find that sometimes the batteries get a little low and you might have to walk a little closer in order to get the functions to work. Could also be caused by interference of people around you, but it should work from the desk if you point it at the screen. The projector will show anything that is displayed on your PC and runs through HDMI cable. There's also a button on this remote that says AV mute. It's right here. And if you press it at the screen, it should turn the screen off. The projector is still running, so anytime that you want people here not to see what is up on the screen until it is ready for them to see, hit the AV mute button to blank it while you get it ready on the computer, and then press the AV mute button again in order to turn it on for them. If you ever find the camera unresponsive, press the red button at the top of the remote and point it at the camera. That'll reboot the camera. Control the camera, point the remote at the camera, and press one of the black numbers. These are preset positions. 1 takes the camera to the podium and zooms it in. 2 takes the camera to the piano and zooms it in. 3 points the camera at the choir. 4 gives a basic zoom out. 6 gives it a more complete zoom out. 5 points the camera and zooms it in on the projector. 7 points the camera over toward the Torah. Nine points the camera over at me. Not that anybody would ever want to use this feature. To disconnect the soundboard, first shut off both power switches. Next, begin by taking out all of the outputs from the back. The two main outputs for the sanctuary speakers have a little clip that you have to hold down in order to remove them. And then pull out the power. Also the assisted listening system. That is one set of cords. Next, pull out all the inputs. The computer input, the microphone inputs, and the rest of them on the side. The computer input, as well as the USB output of the computer, roll them up and store them in the second drawer in the white cabinet behind the desk. Next, carefully pick up the soundboard, hold it firmly, place it inside of the rack in the empty spot. put the projector microphone next to the PC. And the camera controller, remote controller, and put it next to the PC. Shut off your PC. And close the door, turn the key, and place the key and any microphones that you used back inside the safe in the music closet. If you're using the desktop PC, the keyboard and mouse have on-off switches on the back. So just make sure you turn them on before you use and off when you're done.